Okay, so I kind of recorded this video out of order, but originally I intended this. It's kind of like two videos in one. It's both how to transfer from a real game, which I'll have in the video, which is the copy of Sapphire that you're going to see right here, and then how to tell the difference between a real Pokemon Game Boy Advance game and a fake one. So this Pokemon Sapphire is the real deal. You can tell because it's actually chipped off, so you know it's like, oh yeah, this person probably actually used their game. But it's very hard to see on camera, especially because Pokemon Sapphire is blue. But if you shake this around, it has a little sound, and I believe that's because the battery's in there. But yeah, in the top right corner, there's a little circle. You can kind of see half the circle right above the Pokemon Company logo. To the top right there, you see that little circle? That's the battery. If that's in there, that's the legit copy, okay? And then, as you can see on this fake one I have here, one, it's way too clean, so you know it's not real. And then you don't see that little circle in the top right there. And that's a lot you just see on the red. Also, another thing is the back of this looks completely off. You can tell this is fake. You look at the back of this one. Now that's what a Game Boy cartridge looks like. Side by side, it has this weird thing going on, and I don't know why. But this is the real one, this is the fake one. And then the easiest way to tell without even looking at it is if you have a copy of Pokemon Colloseum or XD. If you try to trade with this game, it will not work. And the reason it doesn't work is because it's not real. It doesn't have a battery to check to see if it's actually real. So you just plug the game in there, plug the Game Boy Advance controller adapter in there, and you're gonna go in Colosseum and Fennec City, talk to this person, trade, record the progress. And it's gonna say connected to slot 2, which I already did. We're gonna turn it on. And you're gonna see here, you see the Game Freak thing and everything. It seems normal. It says checking connections. Like, oh yeah, this should be working. Seems legit. And then it's gonna say that there's an error. And that's why, because it's fake. And also say there's no save file on here. Another way to tell is when you try to save said fake game, it takes forever to save. That's how you know it's like, I think something's up here. Or in this case, it might never save. I feel like that's the easiest way to tell. But definitely if you have a Pokemon Colosseum or XE and you try to transfer and it pulls up the little X like I showed earlier, it's a fake game. But also the things you look at. But these are all the easiest ways to tell. And then I'm going to show you how to actually transfer it with a real game. What's going on, everyone? It's Jimmy Like Halo here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to transfer your Pokemon from Ruby Sapphire or Fire Red Leaf Green to Pokemon Colosseum / XD in a way. Now, the reason I'm in this room is because this is what the Wii is hooked up to. So the first thing you want to make sure is your game controller is obviously number 1, but then your Game Boy Advance connector, which is what you're going to need, is controller port 4. And the reason I'm doing this on the Wii is because the laser reader is a lot better. My GameCube thing is kind of fried. So, first thing you want to do, in order to do this, you actually have to beat Colosseum. So if you haven't beaten the game, this will not work. Then, obviously, like I said, the cable, and then also a copy of Ruby Sapphire. I have Sapphire in here. And then it says you gotta save. It's a pretty simple guide. Okay, not controller 4. It's socket 2. My bad. For some reason, I thought it was 4. You just plug that in. It's in number 2 now. And then I think all we gotta do is turn this on. And that'll pop up there. And now it'll say seeking or checking connection. A little electric type bolt going on. And also you have to save at a Pokemon Center in this. And then you'll see the little Colosseum JPEG on there, which is pretty cool. And then it will trade whatever Pokemon are in your party. So currently in my party on the GBA is those Pokemon on the right. Currently in my party on Colosseum is the ones on the left. So you can just take the Zigzagoon, click trade. on the Game Boy Advance, you'll use the D-pad, and then you can select any of these. So then I'll just select Tangela, then hit trade. I'll have a little menu, both press A on both the GameCube controller and the Game Boy Advance, and then it starts trading. And it's pretty much that simple. I mean, it can't really help you in Colosseum once you already finished the game, but maybe you have some Pokemon you wanted to trade over to Colosseum or to Ruby and Sapphire, because for Ruby and Sapphire, you do not have to beat the game to trade with Colosseum. So it could help you a lot in that game. Or you can just use Ampharos for a playthrough like I did in Ruby and Sapphire, since he's not usually in that game. So I'm just going to go ahead and trade this back. I'm actually really happy about this Wii that I got, because if it wasn't for this, the GameCube that I have, like I said, the laser disc reader, it does not work very well, and it doesn't even read games very well. But this Wii is totally fine. I think it's more, Wii's in general, more consistent for like easily reading GameCube discs, which is kind of funny because it's not a GameCube, but there's like a GameCube inside of it essentially. But yeah, that's how you transfer. It's pretty simple. On XD, it's like literally in the same place in the same city, so you can just trade with Emerald as opposed to just Fire Red, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire. But yeah, that's all really there is to it. And if this helped you, leave a like, and I will catch you next time.